Hey guys. Audience, please behave. Okay, so happy to be here today and have some dear friends and partners for the journey. Want to invite John Tomik, Managing Director from Slalom. See what an audience.
I love the crowd. It's great.
And Gene Feldman, Training Manager from Nestle Purina. Okay, guys, so we're going to geek out a little bit today about spatial computing, workforce, enterprise, and everything in between. So, Gene, credit to you for the name of the panel. Maybe you want to share a little bit about the inspiration for this. Yeah.
Absolutely. So last week when we first started talking about the panel, they asked me what I thought about some of the new changes that were coming from early release to the 1G. And the only thing that popped into my head was a quote from Obi-Wan Kenobi when he first handed Luke Skywalker the lightsaber. If you remember from Star Wars, right before Luke poked his eye out with the lightsaber, Obi-Wan said, "It's an elegant device for a more civilized time." And to me, that quote just really encapsulates what you guys are accomplishing with this device. That it's different, it's beautiful, and it just works with the amount of information that today in the multitasking world we're in, the need that we have, I should say.
Okay, so we're gonna think about how to merge you into our creative team. We have some. So let's talk a little bit about employee engagement. So today, with the dynamics of change of work and patterns and locations, we see the need for new tools. It's not just about productivity. Productivity is important, and Spacetop Early Access in G1 is giving a huge productivity boost, but also the employee feeling and engagement. So, John, maybe you wanna share a little bit your perspective on how we see the new spatial computing tools bring that angle.
Sure. I have the privilege of running an innovation lab in New York City. And so we bring in customers all the time into our environment and show them technologies that we think are amazing. And things that come up in those visits are things like, what's the future of an office? What's the nature of how people are interacting with machinery these days? And what does it really mean to go from a two-dimensional environment into a three-dimensional environment? And I think that it's an incredibly exciting time where now the technologies are actually existing where you can bring more creative aspects into discussions. Like the whiteboard session is never going to be the same, you know. And so I think that's my perspective is I think the world is ready for it.
Awesome, Gene. What do you think about engaging and like having those new tools for employees?
No, absolutely. I mean, for myself, I'm very passionate, and I really support the product, but what I can tell you is I've had the opportunity to show my Spacetop early release device that I've had to not only Purina's leadership and Purina's innovation teams, but also to Nestle. And then every time I show it to employees, and I think this is more powerful than me just saying this is what I'm hoping, is the number of employees that the minute they see the device, the smile that goes across their face, it's infectious, and the amount of attention that they focus on it. And I've been in integration for about 10 years now, and most of the time it's you have to get people, you have to find a way to sneak the technology in sometimes. With the Spacetop, there is no sneakage. When people see it, they immediately see it's a work device, and they're immediately thinking of, wow, what can I use this for? And it's very seldomly we find that lightning in the bottle. And that's where I really think we're at.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely built Spacetop as a new tool for employees and organizations. And we were surprised actually from the extra benefits and how strong they are about people well-being, the zen, the focus. We all know that that new disease that all of us are living in those small devices. We call it the spaghetti tab syndrome, where you're kind of lost in this huge spaghetti of apps, multiple duplications of your browser, and you're lost and you're kind of stressed by finding your stuff, definitely not able putting it comfortably side by side. We heard so much feedback from enterprises, Fortune 500s, about how Spacetop make employees calmer, more focused, more efficient, and also if they want to run a nice favorite video song or something in the background, it's just kind of chilling out and being more energetic, more happy. Mm-hmm. Talking about kind of introducing new products, new technologies into organizations. So if we look at history's pattern, like there were devices that were brought in more as a top-down management kind of decision. These are the new tools, let's use them. And people had to adopt, feedback, adopt. And there was also this more grassroots, more natural adoption. iPhone would be one of them, where consumers, prosumers just use those devices personally, and one day suddenly brought them into the enterprise, and it just kind of, maybe there was some negotiation there with IT and security, but over time, when the value was there for the individual, the enterprise looked for ways to adopt. John, what's your perspective about like this top-down versus bottom-up? Like where should spatial computing put focus, or what is the balance? How do you see that dance?
It's a really good question. I think specifically with spatial, I don't know if the top-down method is going to be the right way to go, just because there's a lot of creativity that's involved in this. You know, when my team is all operating pretty much in a spatial environment all the time, and what surprises me with what we're able to do is it actually expands how creative they actually can be or are. Now, we run a lab, so you know we're less focused necessarily on the pure productivity side of things, but creating an environment that is suitable for the activity that you're doing at the time is really important. And so we find, like the Zen conflict, I don't think I'll ever take another flight again outside of, you know, a mixed reality experience. It's just,
awesome.
It is the ultimate office space, being on a plane and being immersed in 6 hours of focus time from San Diego to New York City every week is, you know, it's a great office. So I think I get excited about that concept, you know, just the pure creative aspect of it.
Okay. And Gene, would you like to share your perspective? Because your story and engagement with Sightful was quite resonates with this kind of...
Oh, no, absolutely. So I'm a big believer in grassroots. And the main reason is because the people doing the jobs are the ones that know the tools that they need better than anybody else. And sometimes you have development teams or design teams or IT teams that will find a great technology and then just push it down. But really what they're doing is they're just throwing it at the wall and hoping something sticks. Whereas when it's grassroots, people are speaking up about these are the tools I need, this is what I need to get my job done. But when you really look at it, after years of being in this integration space, one of the things I've really realized is, one, we have to accept that not everybody's going to put on a VR headset. The shoebox does freak people out. But also, it needs to be a two-prong approach in that the company from top down needs to provide some type of technology. You know, let's say if it's AR, VR, they provide a base headset or a base device that's good for a majority of people. But as if your job requirements or the tasks that you have don't fill that need, that's when we start looking at role-specific devices that we were talking about earlier, or it's when people will actually make the choice to buy their own device. So it's much like company smartphones. Some companies will provide you a smartphone, but let's say they provide you Apple. You don't like Apple. Nothing against Apple. I'm just making a statement. But that, they don't like Apple, they want Android. Well, fantastic, buy your own device. All right, we're gonna provide you the iPhone 14. Well, I really want the 20 that's coming out next year. No, I don't know if it's coming out. I'm just making a statement. And so what they can do is get their own device. So it's almost, because if the company provides something, it shows support that the company supports this type of direction. But some of us are tech geeks. We want the coolest, the most fastest, the neatest toys. Some people are still two-finger typers. They don't. It's lost on them. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just not important to them. And so that's where I look at it's got to sometimes come down to that two-prong approach of at least providing something. And if it's not a great solution, it's up to the individual now to supplement that.
Just one other thing I just remembered. You just triggered a thought.
Go for it.
Devices are becoming more and more personal, too. And I think that's an exciting piece. So, if you ever to change jobs or change functions, not only is there a ramp up in learning how to do a new function, but there shouldn't be a ramp up on the technology. So I think that just having devices be personal to you and your preferences, it makes a big difference. So yeah, I think that's also important.
Yeah, definitely. And with Spacetop, I think what we found is, people, relate to it as a personal device. It's kind of a bridge between the known interface, a very natural one, the keyboard and touchpad we know, but it's also a new form of glasses and suddenly multiple screens in front of you. So the approach we saw is really resonates is finding those passionate individuals like you guys and others inside of Fortune 500s organizations, while also engaging top management to kind of understand the value, understand the merit of such a platform. Usually it would be an IT leaders or CISOs that need to kind of check box and say, hey, we're not gonna block this. And it depends on the organization's policy, whether it's more of a BYOD, bring your own device oriented, or a more controlled. So it's kind of a dual path approach where I fully agree that the passionate people and showing how this practically is their tool for all day, every day, and serve their workflows more efficiently, they're more engaged is key, because it's not just a top-down kind of, hey, use this tomorrow. It wouldn't go a long way. So it needs to be natural and solving and giving value, and also ensuring there's endorsement. So it's added to the tools that the organization offers broadly to different business units, et cetera. Let's go a little bit to a more personal perspective. So there's something we call Spacetop moment. It's that moment where you experience Spacetop, you're working with Spacetop, and you're in a new situation where you don't have Spacetop with you, and you say, holy crap, like, I wish I would have Spacetop with me. Gene, do you want to share like a Spacetop moment? Like, where would you feel that spatial computing made a difference for you?
No, absolutely. For me, honestly, the biggest impact was anything travel related. So I don't have to carry an iPad, an iPhone, an Android. I don't need to carry a ton of different things. I can carry one device that can connect 5G, that can give me direct access when I need it to what I need. But one of the things that I really started testing with is, so when I first got my early release, it was really looking at it from a personal point of view and looking at and trying to identify what enterprise cases. And where I really saw some value was supply chain, logistics, anybody that works with Excel spreadsheets or anybody that works with multiple screens. I'm sure a majority of us are very comfortable doing Alt-Tab, but sometimes we would like both screens next to each other and not minimized by our laptop view. And so how I started testing it was every year I take a extended vacation on my motorcycle. And so this year I'm actually planning a 17-day trip across the country. And I was able to use the Spacetop to bring up so what I do is I create one map, and then I break it into 17 different days. So each day it's a certain amount of miles, where we're going, what we're doing. I was able to actually have the master map, all 17 days of maps, my hotel reservations in another window right next to my maps, and along with all the information I needed, what I wanted to see. So rather than going Alt-Tab, trying to go through different screens or trying to remember what's on one screen to bring it to another, I was able to map it up and actually see it in a very smooth, logistical way that made a lot of sense. And for me, that really kind of became that moment of, from here on out, this is the tool I'm using for these types of functionalities, as well as I found the merit to now take to the enterprise to say, this is the use case. Yes, it's not work-related, but it's involving transportation. It's involving all the things that supply chain requires. And so really trying to get to them that, and even seeing, and we're finding these Spacetop moments more and more each day. The more we get into the device, the more we start realizing we're missing something. Even within our factories, one of the ideas we've actually put around is that we need a device that, I think a lot of factories agree, we need that device that's gonna help repair machines in a timely fashion. It's gonna help people on learning and training. What if at each machine we had a Spacetop that was loaded for that particular factory machine? That all somebody had to do was put on the glasses, and now they can repair the machine using AR, using standard training videos, whatever format they want to bring it into. And so that's what we're really starting to see, is those Spacetop moments of, okay, you know what? This is the device that really checks all the boxes that we need.
Awesome. And John, like, where did you feel that fire, that such a product or spatial computing would solve something fundamental for you personally, like a personal perspective?
Other than every flight I take now? I totally agree. I think travel is like an amazing use case, and it's that, I can't even imagine the screen view that you would have with 17 different days. It's just, that's insane.
I took advantage of every inch of that 100-inch screen.
Yeah, I mean, but that's I think the point of it. Yep. You know, I think what this is doing, and we're studying this a lot in our lab. We are actively studying a couple of phenomenon. One is, you know, how the physical world is intersecting with the digital world, and then secondarily, how the relationship that people are having with these devices is changing the nature of what work means, or even, it's gonna sound a little hokey, but like what it means to actually be a human. And you know, it's almost like giving you superpowers. So I think as I glide on into hopefully someday retirement, I think about what it's gonna be like when I'm ready to retire but not ready to retire. And I just have, my wife has been talking me into this and spending Fridays at home on the beach in La Jolla.
Okay, now you're talking.
Now we're talking, right? That is the office, right? And whether I am actually coaching someone who's on the other side of the world, perhaps in our lab, perhaps tied into cameras that are, you know, inspecting things, like your remote inspection thing, that is a very big use case that we're focused on. I think just that mix. And it's coming at the perfect time, right? I mean, we all went through, you know, what it means to work from home.
Yeah, definitely.
Everything, and it's that's the piece that I'm excited about. That's for me the Spacetop moment, retirement. On the beach.
We have a headline.
Still earning a paycheck.
Yeah. So for me, just kind of sitting with my Spacetop, you know, in a coffee shop, putting my ambient music, beating up, having that vibe, having those documents that I need to write suddenly look much more rosy. Sitting in the sunlight and like, dimming 5G connection. This is my spaced-up moment, just kind of getting into my work world and just feeling very natural. This is part of the things we'll see in the social patterns as more and more people will be using those new tools, whether shaded, transparent, in social settings. Like there were those periods where people were starting talking to themselves in the street, and suddenly we saw those wireless earphones. So we're gonna see those in much more social setting and work coming everywhere. And for me, like personally, that magical kind of, I have all of this squeezing into this thing, coming out of my backpack in a coffee shop on a United flight or any other flight. It's like magical. And honestly, with roaming a lot as a road warrior with Spaced Up on airlines, it becomes a lab by its own. Like everyone comes and start being very intrigued what it is. So you said superpower also, and I think this brings us back to the force and like Gene's kind of intuition about how those new tools that are not linear, not just another micro bit in a processor or another half an inch on a screen, but something that is a leap forward, will change how we work. So I want to thank you and for the time and for the partnership and for the journey and for the great insights. And we're really passionate about hearing all the users' insights, iterating, improving, and getting the platform to a huge audience. So I want to thank you guys for your time and see you here and keep jamming.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.